Let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're diving headfirst into the wild, extreme economics of hospitality. We're going to break down the exact value you're actually getting at vastly different price points. We're taking a journey that literally starts at the absolute bottom of the barrel and climbs all the way up to the peak of imaginable luxury. It's basically a deep dive into human desire and how the travel industry scales up its offerings to meet those desires, no matter how completely outrageous they become.
Okay, so take a look at this massive, seven-figure number, $1 million. That represents a single night's stay at a top-tier castle. Just think about that for a second. $1 million for just 24 hours. For most of the world, that's a lifetime of savings, right? But up in the stratosphere of ultra-luxury hospitality, it's just the baseline price of admission for a single day of existence.
Which brings us to the big question. What exactly makes a hotel room worth $1 million a night? We're going to answer this by methodically climbing the hierarchy of hospitality. We'll analyze exactly what human desire is being fulfilled at each massive price jump. Because spoiler alert, it's not just about a softer mattress or nicer soap in the bathroom. As we scale up these pricing tiers, the very definition of what you're actually purchasing shifts fundamentally.
Now, to truly wrap our heads around $1 million price tag, we really have to establish a baseline. We need to know what basic shelter actually costs. We need a control group, a rock-bottom foundation to contrast against these towering heights of curated excess. So we have to strip away literally all the amenities and just look at the bare minimum requirement of human accommodation.
Let's kick things off with Tier 1, the baseline of accommodation.
We're completely removing the concept of our room as you might know it. We're dialing it all the way back to the absolute most primitive form of a hospitality transaction, $1 single. For $1, your core value is bare-bones shelter. And that translates to a literal mat on the floor in a public hallway where people are stepping over you all night. Our source material described it as being like a mattress at home, but entirely minus the comfort. At this price point, you've got zero privacy, zero amenities, and yeah, room service definitely does not exist. You are literally paying $1 single just for the right to lay horizontally indoors.
And this creates a massive chasm when we look at the lower to middle tiers. I mean, for $50, you get a broken Airbnb bus with a non-functioning lamp, terrible heat, and mosquitoes literally biting your face. But add 3 zeros to that budget. The reality fundamentally shifts. That extra cash rockets you to a $50,000 private island, complete with 14 explorable islands and 5 swimming pools. The contrast is just staggering.
Moving on up to Tier 2, paying for novelty. So once basic comfort is achieved, the hospitality industry starts charging for totally unique experiences. Welcome to the economics of novelty. This is the tier where you aren't just paying for shelter or comfort anymore. You're paying for a story. You're paying to exist in a space that completely defies normal, everyday architecture. At $1,000, you get a creaky cave 200 feet below ground. It kind of looks like the entrance to a horror movie, has a stained bed, and absolutely no Wi-Fi. But jump to $10,000, you're paying to sleep in a literal fishbowl surrounded by sharks. The environment itself becomes the entertainment. Down in that underwater villa, you've got bathtubs right by the ocean, an infinity pool, an underwater bathroom, and jet skis for the afternoon.
Seriously? At 10 grand, you aren't just paying for a bed. You're paying to shower underwater and be entertained by aquatic life swimming right past the glass. It is entirely about the vibe. You can literally sit there and eat fish in an underwater restaurant while surrounded by living fish and sharks swimming right outside your window. It's this surreal, highly orchestrated novelty. As one guest put it, it really makes you feel like an evil villain contemplating world domination from your secret underwater base.
Next up, Tier 3, the price of privacy.
As the budget expands way beyond novelty, the ultimate luxury becomes sheer isolation. It's about absolute control of your environment. Think about it. When you have all the money in the world, the greatest amenity you can possibly purchase is the absence of other people. This tier is defined by transforming historically crowded spaces into completely private domains. You have 110 staff members waiting on just 3 guests across 14 private islands. The staff have been standing on the dock since 8 o'clock in the morning, literally just waiting for the guests to arrive by private plane. You're paying to be the absolute center of a massive, heavily staffed, completely isolated universe.
And the price of privacy scales drastically. It jumps up to $75,000 to rent out an entire $500 million behemoth of a cruise ship. But here's the catch. That 75 grand doesn't buy you a week on the ship. It buys you a single hour.
Yep, you heard that right. You are paying a massive premium simply to remove thousands of other people from a space that was literally designed for crowds. For 1 hour, guests can run completely wild around an entirely empty, multi-million-dollar vessel, hunting for hidden checks, and basically experiencing this gargantuan piece of commercial engineering as their own personal, totally private playground.
All right, let's get into Tier 4, curated luxury and art suites.
Moving into six-figure territory now, privacy gets replaced by highly curated, totally bespoke environments. At this level, hotels aren't just giving you an empty space. They're actively designing highly specific, wildly over-the-top fantasies for you to inhabit. Take the Palms Resort in Las Vegas. For $150,000 a night, hospitality morphs into a private, multi-themed amusement park. The space is broken up into these meticulously designed areas, making sure you never ever have a reason to leave your suite. They literally bring the entire entertainment experience directly to you.
You're no longer just booking a room. You're booking private bowling alleys, personal indoor basketball courts, and hidden rooms complete with dedicated butlers. You get this massive kingpin suite with bunk beds, an exclusive $10,000 dinner prepared just for your group, and a butler who is there to anticipate your every single move before you even make it. It's just an absolute playground of excess.
And it gets crazier. The suite features over $16 million in Damien Hirst art. We're talking a multi-million-dollar medicine cabinet filled with pills and a $2.3 million pool table that honestly looks pretty normal. The guests in our source material were actually terrified to touch anything in there, and for good reason. The hotel explicitly warns you that if you even try to open the art pieces, a security guard will instantly appear out of nowhere. So at this price point, you're effectively paying to sleep inside a high-security, modern art museum.
Finally, we reach Tier 5, the $1 million night.
This is the absolute pinnacle of our explainer, the $1 million castle. The numbers here are so staggeringly high that the entire concept of what a hotel should be is completely rewritten from the ground up. I mean, $1 million castle doesn't just max out standard ratings. It operates on a completely different scale entirely. It boasts a 6-diamond star rating. Standard metrics of luxury simply fail to capture what's happening here. When a 5-star rating just isn't enough, the industry literally has to invent a brand new tier of prestige to signal that they're delivering an experience most humans can't even conceptualize.
The actual procedure of the stay is just mind-bending. You walk in and you're immediately assigned personal butlers while a guy carrying milkshakes just walks by, and professional breakdancers are literally performing in the hallway. They bring gigantic horses right inside the castle walls for you to ride. They hand you the keys to $300,000 McLarens. They even buy out a $57,000 a year golf course so you can go play a few holes in total absolute privacy.
And then there's the grand finale. At $1 million, the hotel manufactures a completely personalized theatrical reality for you. This culminates in a private sky-high drone show that honestly makes traditional fireworks look obsolete. Imagine this. You finish an incredibly lavish $1 million dinner, you look up at the night sky, and you see hundreds of drones light up, animating a giant figure dropping a briefcase of cash directly over your private castle. The spectacle is entirely bespoke. It was designed only for your eyes. When you break it down, that $1 million mark completely eclipses all the others. It proves you're paying an exponential premium purely for the spectacle. The jump from $1 to $10,000, that gets you a clean bed, amazing food, and incredible novelty like sleeping underwater. But the jump from 10 grand to $1 million, that massive financial leap is almost entirely dedicated to ego, performance, and just unimaginable exclusivity.
Because at the end of the day, $1 million doesn't buy you a better bed. It buys you absolute dominion over your reality for 24 straight hours. The friction of normal everyday life, waiting in lines, dealing with crowds, being told no, it is all entirely erased. You are purchasing a hyper-personalized theater production where you are the sole audience member and the absolute star of the show.
Ultimately, hospitality scales right alongside human desires. So ask yourself, what specific experience do you actually value the most? If you had the budget, would you want the peaceful isolation of having an entire island and 100-person staff all to yourself? Or would you embrace the sheer, unbounded spectacle of $1 million castle with indoor horses, supercars, and personalized drone shows? It's a fascinating look into the absolute extremes of our economy, and it really leaves us wondering just how much further the limits of luxury can possibly be pushed. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.